From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Well, happy Monday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining me here on Weather NorCal. You know, we're going to start off and take a look at some of the pictures that you shared here from the free Weather NorCal app. This is courtesy of LaDonna. This is the Sacramento River in Anderson. You can see it's swelled up. It looks like a few things. I don't know if that's a picnic table or what, but well, I tell you what, that Sacramento River is high. I mean, look how close it is to the bottom of the bridge. And just kind of to show you some of the beauty, you know, we can't forget, and I always say this, don't take for granted this beautiful area that we live in here. This is in Castle on Friday, sent to us by Brian. I mean, look at that. Just a gorgeous sunrise picture here. You've got the snow off in the foreground here. Just an absolutely gorgeous shot. This is also, I love this one. This is out in Siskiyou County, Quartz Valley. Of course, they've got some blankets on their horses to keep them warm. I want to thank Patricia for sharing this image. Again, this was late last week, but again, just a kind of reminder of how beautiful this area can be. Let's take a look at your weather headlines. We've got dry and cool start to the week with breezy at times. Rain and snow returns near the end of the week. Low elevation snow to start, then going back up as we go into the weekend. A lot to talk about here in our deeper dive forecast, but before we get to that, let's get you through Krueger's Quickcast here so you know what to expect here for today and a real quick forecast. Out the door this morning, cold. Oh man. Although it's not as cold in the valley, you can see temperatures by 8 o'clock in the morning should be in the low 40s, that is. But look at Modoc County, Alturas, about 4 degrees, 15 in Siskiyou County, 17 degrees for many of the eastern mountains. Now, let's take a look at this. We've got the satellite image here. A lot of activity over the Pacific. That's heading our way and will eventually start to impact our weather. But until then, we remain dry. We have a flood advisory for northwestern Lassen County. We still have some flood warnings along the Sacramento River. So flooding is still a bit of a concern out there, despite the fact that it hasn't rained for several days, right? But looking at Futurecast, you can see we're going to see a couple of passing high clouds throughout the day today. But overall, I do expect to see mainly sunny skies. Again, a couple of those passing clouds, maybe some fog developing here as we head towards just south of Humboldt Bay. But this is what we call a cold weather advisory. This is actually a new advisory that was issued this year by the National Weather Service. And just to kind of give you a reminder or just kind of a heads up of how cold it is going to be. Now, this is through 9 o'clock this morning. This darker blue is a extreme cold warning until 9 o'clock this morning as well. This is actually until Wednesday morning for Modoc County, where we do expect to see some of those coldest temperatures. So we look at, just to show you what we expect here for tonight, not of course this morning, but tonight into tomorrow morning. Another cold start. You're down to the single digits and teens for many of the higher elevations, and quite cold even for the coast with those temperatures in the low to mid 30s. And even in the valley could be a little bit chilly as well, although it really does depend on what those winds do. If they're up a little bit stronger than expected, then maybe not quite the mid 30s, maybe more like the upper 30s or low 40s. Taking a look at your ski report for your Monday, February 10th, 102 inches out at the summit of the Mount Shasta Ski Park, with that park still being 100% open. Now, if you're planning on heading out there for today, you should be just fine. We don't have any chain requirements this morning. And of course, if you've been out there the last few days, that's pretty much the conditions you'll be dealing with here for the next couple of days, as a matter of fact. Here's what we have in store for us for your Monday. Those temperatures are going to be in the mid 50s, mainly sunny skies for the valley. Still cold though, only reaching the low to mid 30s on average for mountains to the north and east of the valley. But in Trinity County, inland, mid to upper 40s there. And I do expect upper 40s to about 50 for that daytime high along the coast. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook. So there you can see the dry conditions here through Wednesday. And some of your apps may be showing rain on Wednesday. The National Weather Service has been quite aggressive with keeping the chance for rain for Wednesday, even since last week. I'm not seeing it happen. If we see anything on Wednesday, it will be to the south, places like Chico, southward. But the storm system that I think the Weather Service is picking up on, it's expected to move to our south, most of us. Like I said, it may just clip some southern areas like Chico, for example, but I think most of the rain and maybe even mix for parts of the valley is going to hold off until Thursday, and then more often on showers for Friday through the weekend. So you can again see dry conditions for the coast. Maybe southern places like Garberville, for example, may see a shower on Wednesday, but most of it's going to be here on Thursday, off and on rain going into the weekend. And by the way, with that snow that we do have, I do expect it to start off fairly low for Wednesday night into Thursday, but then we see some warmer air begin to move in and snow levels will rise once again for Friday and through the weekend. All right, do want to remind you real quickly, there is a free Weather NorCal app. Just go to your app store, search for Weather NorCal. And you know, here's a really cool part about it. I love it because it's everything that I have to offer here at Weather NorCal. Not just the weather, but of course, you know, you've got road conditions in there. You've got, when the fire season, we got fire conditions, you know, special programming that I have. You can watch the 24-hour streaming channel. You can watch the latest weather update. There is so much jam-packed in this app that I think you'll really find it quite useful. All right, let's take a look at your satellite image as we go into our deeper dive forecast. And what we've got here are mainly clear skies right now. High pressure is the dominant feature. Now we've got a system, a lot of activity out over the Pacific Ocean here. This is heading our way and will eventually have an impact on our weather. But again, not until later on this week. As we look at futurecasts, kind of advancing it here through time, you can see some of the clouds passing throughout the day today, but we're not going to see any rain. You may see some fog developing here just to the south of Eureka here later on this afternoon and evening. Zooming it out here, this is the storm system I was talking about. Now, since last week, I have seen indication that that's where this storm system has always gone and is expected to continue to go, is to our south. So I've been kind of scratching my head even last week when the Weather Service and other apps were saying Wednesday it's going to rain. Now here's the thing. If this thing decides to shift more to the north, then yeah, we've got rain. But as of right now, it still looks like it's going to push to the south. So if anything, Tuesday night into Wednesday, we could see maybe southern portions of the area to maybe see some wet weather. But this model, and really most models, are keeping it to the south. You see how you have a couple of stray showers trying to come in? So that's not out of the question as we go in, especially Wednesday morning. Now, as we go into Wednesday afternoon, still dry, but this right here, this is the system I've got my eyes on because it's going to work with some colder air and it could potentially bring us some more low elevation snow. That's something we'll be watching here very closely, and of course we'll take a closer look at that here in a second. Let's get into the flood advisories and warnings, the works, right? So you can see here along the Sacramento River, still a bit of a concern, and it's not because of the recent rain, or should I say, let me just say this way. Let me put it this way. Let me back up here. It's not because we've seen rain the last few days, because we haven't. Of course, the recent rain has been creating problems, and that's why they're releasing more water from the dams as a result, because the lakes are really filling up. So we've got to release some of that water. As a result, well, of course, we're seeing that Sacramento River really high, and in some cases, it is flooding as a result. You can see here for the Sacramento River at Red Bluff Diversion Dam, it's going to be below that flood stage, but with the upcoming rain, that could go back up close to the flood stage here. Now we take a look at the Tehama Bridge. You're above flood stage, it drops a little bit here, and then we go back up with Thursday's rain. We take a look at Sacramento River at Vina Woodson, staying below that flood stage, could get close to, if not right above that flood stage, with Thursday's rain coming on in. Hamilton City should stay below that flood stage, but you can see that rise for Thursday night into Friday. And it looks like looking at Ord Ferry should, for the most part, just stay below that flood stage, even with this upcoming rain. Now you can also see that there is a flood advisory still for northwestern Lassen County, but the flooded areas are starting to slowly recede. They have been throughout the weekend and of course for today, and that should be allowed to expire by noon today. We'll see. I mean, that may get extended, but conditions are improving. But well, of course, it's because of the relief from the rain. There's that system. Again, you see how it's pushing to the south. It's trying to clip Northern California, but it could, the southern portions, but most of it's going to stay to the south. Sacramento, San Francisco, southward, and of course snow in the Sierra. But see how we're dry? But I've got my eyes on this system right here, And it's an area of low pressure, a cold one at that. So we've got two things at play here. Colder air moving in, which, by the way, cold air is already in place. This is a cold storm system, and it's got a nice warm source of moisture. So that's that typical setup where we see that low elevation snow. When we get colder air moving in overhead first, we got to get that colder air in first. Once we do that, that warmer air rides over that colder air, and we see low snow levels as a result. Then eventually, as long as we have a source of moisture, that tends to mix out that colder air and snow levels start to rise. So what we've got here, Friday through the weekend, you see how we have the off and on chances for showers here, but nothing too terribly intense as far as rain is concerned. I think the main event will be Thursday with the colder air, heavy rainfall, heavy snow. And then after that, it just turns over to those scattered showers here as we go into Friday through the weekend. And by the way, the winds, you may have noticed in the valley, they're starting to pick up a little bit. It's still a little breezy here throughout the day today out of the north. Still a bit breezy even for your Tuesday morning and afternoon. But it looks like the wind should die down, not quite as breezy here for your Wednesday. So breezy at times, as I mentioned in those weather headlines a little bit earlier. There's a look at your lake levels, and we're going to do this daily look because obviously the lakes are really high and healthy. They're letting a lot of water out. We're still at about 89% of capacity out at Shasta Lake and over 80% for Trinity and Oroville. You can see the drop, again, because of the release that we're getting out of the dam. About 2.5 feet. We've seen it drop in the last 24 hours. Trinity, not much. Of course, a little over a foot drop out at Lake Oroville. So again, still very healthy, as you can see here, as we're over 80% capacity that we're seeing right now for most of our lakes in the area. It's just wonderful having all this water. And of course, by the way, a lot of snowpack has made its way into the higher elevation. So we've got that nice reserve as well in the mountains. All right, so you can see the wave heights. Yeah, they're pretty high here for today, but they are expected to recede as you take it through the day on Tuesday. So your marine forecast for your Monday, north winds at about 20 to 25 knots, waves from the north at 10 feet at 9 seconds, and from the west at 2 feet at about 16 seconds. There's a hazardous seas warning through this afternoon, but that should be allowed to expire later on today. All right, so here's a look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures mainly in the mid to upper 40s. I've got you dry through Wednesday. Snow levels low. Weaverville, Hayfork, snow, not out of the question. Of course, we'll be watching that and fine-tuning that as we get closer to it. So I broad brush that for Thursday. Everywhere I've got 1,000-foot snow levels. Again, could be a little bit higher in some cases, could be a little bit lower, just depending on where you are. But there you can see the off and on rain and higher snow levels by Friday and through the weekend as that warmer air moves in. Taking a look at the North Coast on Monday, of course, what we're seeing here for today, 45 degrees for Rio Dell, 51 in Blue Lake, dry through Wednesday, rain returning on Thursday, 45 Gas Key, 49 degrees in Hoopa, Willow Creek about 47 degrees. Here's a look at your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Again, that's snow coming in on Thursday, snow levels rising, maybe a bit of a mix from Mount Shasta on Friday, and then 6,000 feet or higher by the weekend. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. It's going to be cold out there today. Looks like maybe getting above freezing out in Aden. Otherwise, you're mainly in the mid to upper 20s, even around 30 for that daytime high. Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s, although one of the warmer spots will be Paradise with a high of about 53 degrees. We've got snow levels around 1,000 feet. So Paradise, yeah, mix, maybe even all snow at times. We'll see what happens as we get closer to that Thursday time frame. Taking a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south, brought to you by Walgamith Painting. We've got those temperatures in the mid-50s. Here you can see Oroville, you're seeing that wet weather on Thursday. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if we see any showers on Wednesday here in Northern California, it will be for areas to the south. So Chico, Hamilton City, Orland, Elk Creek, all these areas maybe a passing sprinkle or light shower, and then to the south, better chances. All right, so let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Chico. So again, I'm keeping it dry, just some clouds on Wednesday though. And then there's that wet weather on Thursday. I don't expect a mix there, just rain on Thursday. And then scattered showers here for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's take a look at the Valley neighborhood forecast to the north. Temperatures in the mid to upper 50s for your daytime highs. Dry, I think, for Red Bluff northward to Redding for Wednesday. Yeah, there's that chance for a mix on Thursday. And then, of course, more wet weather with those rising snow levels. So I don't expect a mix or any kind of snowflakes for the Valley by Friday or for the weekend. Looking at your 7-day outlook for Redding, dry through Wednesday. Cooler on Thursday with a high of 47 degrees. We're back in the mid to upper 50s, though, by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's your morning update. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back again at noon. Have a great morning.
At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.